Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Produce Buzzers podcast. We are so happy you have joined us today, and I think you will be too after the show is over, because you will learn a lot about fresh fruits and vegetables, how to select and store them, how to prepare and cook them, and surprising facts about their history and origin. We hope it inspires you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, not only for your health, but also for your delight and pleasure as you explore their amazing world of taste and delicious flavors. Eating more of them will transform your life in so many positive ways. So settle back, relax, and get ready for another delicious adventure with the Produce Buzzers. Greetings, Produce Buzzers podcast fans. Welcome to another episode of the Produce Buzzers podcast. Thanks for joining us. I am Edwin Stepp, your host and executive editor of ProduceBuzz.com. I am joined once again by Teresa Nola, president and founder of Produce Buzz, and Rick Stepp, a contributing editor to Produce Buzz. But sadly, this week we are missing the lovely Cynthia Benedetto on the Produce Buzzers podcast. One of her very close friends passed away this week after a battle with cancer, and she had to bow out of appearing on the show. Cynthia is a great friend, and she did a lot to help her friend during her illness. So we send our condolences to Cynthia and want her to know that we will miss her and that our thoughts are with her and her friend's family. And we look forward to having you back on the next episode. Well, beautiful spring weather is all around, and we hope it's bringing you great joy. And there's no greater joy of spring than the arrival of one of the fruits that has been most often cited by people as the most joyous of all fruits and veggies, strawberries. And guess what? May is National Strawberry Month. So today we have a very special guest who has to be one of the world's leading experts on the fruit. Our guest today has been the director of marketing for one of the most successful strawberry growers in the world for over 33 years. And today he is going to tell us everything he knows about them. Well, probably not everything, because we only have about an hour with him, and I'm sure conveying all of his knowledge would take infinitely longer than that. Our guest today has known our fearless leader on the Produce Buzzer podcast, Teresa Nolan, even before he took his current position. They worked together at the California Strawberry Board back in the 1980s. So since they have been good friends for so long, Teresa is going to introduce our special guest. Teresa.
You know how in life you meet a few people that you always love being around? Jim Grabowski is one of those guys. And we worked together at the California Strawberry Advisory Board as merchandisers. And he always managed to keep us laughing. He has this great delivery, quiet, just gets right to the point and will crack you up in a second. He's also a pretty hard worker, and he's pretty smart. By the way, he also has a wonderful wife, and she is a beauty too. Mary is one of my favorite people in the world. So I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about his background. So,
well, welcome to the podcast, Jim. Thanks for joining
us. Thanks, Edwin and Teresa and Rick. I appreciate you having me here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jim.
Okay. Well, like you mentioned a little bit, or like Edwin mentioned a little bit earlier, how you basically you grew up on a farm in North Carolina, so you've been produce from the beginning. I kind of always go back to my produce roots as a young child, because I grew up. My parents owned a neighborhood grocery store in Chicago. So from the time I was a young kid, once a week, especially during the summertime, I made a trip down to the Chicago produce terminal market, wholesale market. And every Wednesday we would, buy produce off the market and, take it home on our station wagon and take it back to the store, and along with a bunch of groceries from the other grocery wholesalers. So that was pretty much my introduction to produce back when I was, 10 years old. But then my official introduction to the professional end of produce was when I started work for the Florida Department of Agriculture. And that was probably back in the late 70s or so, working as a Midwest representative for the Florida Department of Agriculture. And like Teresa mentioned, that job led me into a position with the California Strawberry Advisory Board. I think I was there for like 5.5 years. And from there, I went into joined one of the growers, the California growers, which happened to be Well-Pict Berries. And I've been there ever since. So that was, I want to say, maybe 1988. I started at Well-Pict. And at the time, the position that I started at Well-Pict was basically something new in the industry, because none of the existing growers really had any type of field people going out and meeting their customers. All transactions were done on the phone. You talk to your salesperson, you talk to whoever. And so Well-Pict had the idea of sending someone out there to actually, besides, what I officially I became the eyes and ears for Well-Pict by going out and seeing what was happening in the marketplace. But I also became the face of Well-Pict from amongst the people, because I made it a point of seeing pretty much all of our customers, at least all of our large customers, at least once or twice a year, not withstanding all the trade shows. So I made a personal visit to them. And so that I was kind of like a forerunner of what the produce business kind of evolved to where everybody having an outside merchandising and marketing staff.
That's fantastic. You must have racked up some airline miles.
Oh God, when I think back to how many times, I was on the road 3 or 4 days a week. And that was pretty much, if I didn't go every week of the month, it was, 3 out of the 4 weeks of the month. And like I said, there was times when I would hit, sometimes I would fly to 2 or 3 different, not 3, but probably 2 cities. I'd hit flying to New York or something. I'd see somebody early in the morning in New York. I'd be on a plane at 1 or 2 o'clock, and I'd be into Boston and Philadelphia or someplace. I'd catch a later appointment there. And it was crazy. That was the job back then. Now it's kind of evolved, and the way the industry has evolved, and as the way the world has evolved, that my travel has been curtailed quite a bit, which is kind of good. In my old age, I don't think I could do that. I couldn't keep that pace anymore.
Tell us a little bit more about what you did with those customers. Now, I assume that you went to visit both retailers and wholesalers, but for our listeners are not in the produce industry; they're mostly consumers. Right. But I think they're very interested in how food is marketed and distributed. You were going and visiting with these customers. Were they mostly retailers, wholesalers, and what did you?
Oh, well, like I said, I did. I saw most of them were retailers, like I said, but in every major market, we would have a wholesale, at least one wholesale house on the terminal market. New York, Chicago, all the big cities, Philadelphia, Boston. We always had at least one representative on the wholesale terminal market. But in the meantime, then I was calling on each individually on all the retailers that we did business with in each and every one of those markets, just trying to get a gauge of how they were feeling, how we were handling their needs, is there anything we could do better for them, things on that sort. So it was just, just try to, put a face to the company, to the retailers,
Right. And you were also probably giving them some advice about how to display and market and
you generally try to tell them, again, most especially the retailers kind of almost had their own set ways of doing things,
Right.
You could try to suggest, different, better ways and so forth. A lot of the questions would be on receiving the product. That's probably the most important aspect of the product is the receiving end of it. Before it actually gets to the store, and then even from the transfer from the host from their warehouses to the stores, how the product is held,
making sure that cold chain doesn't.
I was just going to say I might be jumping ahead of myself, but that's the cold chain is is the most important aspect, especially in strawberries,
right,
of maintaining that cold chain. And by that we mean from the time the berries are picked out of our fields. It's generally no more than an hour to an hour and a half from the time that they're picked in the fields to the time they're back at our cooler being cooled, in the wind tunnels, getting them down to, just this 33 degrees, and being held, to the time it gets put on the truck. And, so from that point on, it's mandatory, or not mandatory, but it's, ideally best that the product is kept cold, that whole time, from the time it leaves the fields, through our transportation system onto the trucks to the time it hits the retailer or wholesaler's warehouse, from that time until the time gets to their retail establishment. And then that should probably be the first time the cold chain is broken once it's put onto the showroom, I want to call it showroom floor or display floor in the store.
Right. That's amazing. It's quite a miracle the distribution process that occurs, and something that has really come about in our lifetimes, hasn't it? That cold chain.
Right.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, I know our listeners are very, the feedback we get from them is that they are interested in how the food gets to them. More and more people, right. I think for a long time people didn't think much about it, but in this day and age, it seems like people are more and more eager to know about that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Tell us about Well-Pict. It's one of the most recognized brands in the berry world,
right?
And beautiful packaging, beautiful berries, best berries around.
Okay, well, Well-Pict was Well-Pict Berries was probably, I'm trying to go back, thinking of how far back. I want to say it was started somewhere like mid 60s, 65 or 67, I believe, by a small group of growers who all previously had grown berries for other companies. And then they decided to market the berries under themselves. And they chose the Well-Pict label to be their sales name. So, in actuality, Well-Pict, we always say, is actually theoretically a sales marketing organization,
Okay.
And we have, individual growers that grow specifically for us, throughout the state of California, Florida, as well as in the Baja, Mexico. Oh. So, that's pretty much about what the company is. We grow our own proprietary varieties of strawberries, which means all the berries that we do grow have been developed specifically for us. Our main goal in developing a variety of strawberry is the flavor profile. We want the berry to be a good eating experience, and we want it to be the same berry day in, day out, so that when the berry you buy at the beginning of the week, it should taste the same as the berry you buy at the end of the week, and the berry that you buy next week, and so forth, like that. So, like I said, all our berries have been bred, for the usual characteristics of, of color and sizing and shelf life and so forth. But again, our main goal focus is the eating quality of the strawberry. The owner of the company believes that, the best berry compliment you could get is if the berry is eaten straight out of the package, and you can enjoy the taste, and after you eat that berry, you can say, well, that was really a great berry. You didn't have to be chopped up, and it didn't have to be put into sugar, and it didn't have to be put into sauces or anything like that sort. Our main goal is for people to enjoy the berries natural or straight as they are, so forth, like that.
Yeah.
So,
and developing those proprietary varieties is quite a process.
It is.
And a lot of investment in time and resources. Can you tell us a bit about that? We've touched on it in some of our other episodes. Teresa did a segment about strawberries since she knew about it, but we would like to hear more about that.
Yeah, well, this, very similar, like back when Teresa and I were at the Strawberry Advisory Board, and even then, all the strawberry varieties at that time were pretty much developed by the research department at the University of California, I believe Davis, who ran the strawberry research program there. And same situation happens now, but we constantly have strawberries in process. It takes development of strawberries is an ongoing process. At that time, a strawberry variety generally had a useful life of around 7 years or so. I want to say, I believe it was. At which point, the plant started getting tired and started developing a few characteristics that you really didn't want in your berries. So we always had to have a new variety, ready to step in. It's pretty much the same thing with our own proprietary varieties.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you there? Because I
Sure.
think our listeners would probably want to hear, just to understand that a little bit better. The plant has a 7-year life, so they can bear berries for 7 years.
No.
No.
It could bear berries forever, but the ideal is at somewhere long time along the line, it picks up characteristics. So where, at the end of, basically I should probably go back is, all the plantings in California are new plantings every year.
Okay.
So, every year the nurseries up north in California, I think even probably now already have started their seedlings. They'll be harvested in the fall, basically, for strawberry plants.
Okay.
And, the growers get the plants in the fall, chill them a little bit, and then they throw them into the ground. And so they're ready for spring picking on all that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that the strawberry plant will eventually sometimes, so the first year it's going to give you, great berries, and, it'll be big and red and juicy and flavorful and all that. But as time goes on, after you keep so many cuttings, you keep reproducing plants and so forth, they get a little, it's just like anything else, or driving your car. After 7 years, it gets a little tired. It doesn't give you the same gas mileage, and it doesn't stop as well. And
all the cars I've ever owned were only 3 or 4 years.
The plants eventually, after a number of years, the berry size won't be as large, and they might be a little less resistant to some diseases. And the flavor profile might change a little bit. And if it rains, and the rain might change the growing of it and so forth. So eventually, over time, you got to keep things fresh.
Got it.
And so that's how new varieties get developed.
Right.
And so we as at Well-Pict, like I said, we have our own research program developing our own proprietary varieties. And every district that we grow in generally has a variety that's been developed for their growing conditions. So the berries that we grow down south in the Baja and in Oxnard aren't the same berries that we grow up in Santa Maria or Watsonville. And even especially for Florida, we've had a growing operation in Florida now, probably 6 or 7 years. And this year, we finally have developed a proper variety for Florida that will have our own proprietary variety in Florida, as opposed to growing the university developed varieties out of Florida and so forth. So.
Well, that's very interesting. So it's like microclimates along the California coast, isn't it? They changed quite a bit on the Pacific coast.
In California, most of our fields are along the water, or in areas that can get benefits of the cooling effects of the ocean.
Right.
Specifically, we like warm, sunny days, which again, when I talk warm, we're talking mid 70s, and cool, foggy nights, which we would prefer to see in the 50s, mid 50s, the lower 50, upper 50s. Maybe never higher than mid 60s at night. That helps sets the berries. So then the next day, when it gets a little bit warmer, it brings them on and so forth like that.
Some of our listeners on the East Coast or Midwest might not understand that the climate there in California, but you get those hot days, but that also creates this fog on the Pacific, cool waters of the Pacific, and that comes in at nighttime. And
right,
how does is it the moisture also helpful, or is it just the cool?
The cool foggy night is what you really want, especially like I said in California. Sometimes we run into issues where it doesn't get cool enough at night. If it stays like in the mid 60s or upper 60s, that's not cool enough. We need it to get, we prefer to have it go down into that 50ish, 55, 57 degree range at nighttime. Helps set those berries up, the cooling end of it. And then, like I said, next day, if it could get up to 72, 73, generally, a lot of other places in the country, consider a nice warm day to be 80, 85 or something.
Right.
That's the kiss of death on a strawberry or a raspberry.
It's a tough thing to be a strawberry farmer. You have to be very talented. It takes a lot of skill.
Right. And it gets tougher every year in terms of, trying to meet government regulations as far as what you can do. And especially in California, the water situation, is not getting any better, and I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. You can't manufacture water, So there's
Yeah.
unless Mother Nature cooperates a little bit better, it's going to be continued. And strawberry growers, as such, probably make out better in this type of in a drought situation. Because of the way the way the industry evolved to how we, water the plants and so forth. All our fields are set up with drip irrigation systems, whereas the two, we don't, like going back to my Midwest days, you could drive down the road and see all these fields where they had these massive sprinklers, shooting water up into the air and all that kind of deal. All our water irrigation systems are drip irrigation, which basically are lines running through the strawberry beds, and all the strawberry beds are covered in plastic. So, whatever water we could send through the irrigation system goes directly to the plants and the roots, and the plastic, on the beds helps keep it in there, keeps the water, the soil moist. So it's probably a little bit more efficient way of watering than a lot of other industries who have to just flood fields or dump water in the air and hope that some of it actually makes it down to the ground and waters the plant. We have our own wells in our on our fields. Oh. We're limited to how much water we could draw out of those wells.
Right.
You can't to take out. And I think we're managing to make do with what we have, and between whatever little rain that does fall and the irrigation system that we have, I think we're, as strawberry, the strawberry industry is a lot better off than, especially like trees, tree nuts,
Right. Almonds.
Those people are really taking a hit with that water situation in California.
Right. Well, on that note, I know that Well-Pict is committed to sustainable issues and sustainability. The water is one issue. It sounds like you are doing what you can to preserve that. What else can you tell about the sustainability? I think probably a lot of our listeners would want to know about the plastic packaging.
Right.
And that side of things.
That's an issue that people have brought up, and right now the plastic still is the best delivery method for strawberries.
Right.
I remember going back when I first started, everything at that time was done in the old plastic pints and quarts,
Right.
And
green, they were green, colored green.
Green plastic, and hopefully, it didn't get jostled too much in the on the ride, because I used to hear the store people used to call them holy berries, because the plastic way the plastic was developed on the side, when the berries got bounced in the load and squished up against the sides, it put crosses in the side of. They used to call them holy berries because they had all these indented crosses on the side of the berries from the container. So right. It's kind of like a breakthrough, almost like one of those moments,
right.
When so the clamshells came out, and it made it easier for picking in the field, because again, all berries are field packed, so it made it easier to put the clamshell in the field. All of our clamshells are made from 70% or 75% recycled plastic.
Oh, that's great.
So that was the original first step, to try to make them a little more acceptable. The retailers, I think, appreciate clamshell because it helps on their end as far as receiving and merchandising the berries on the shelf. Now with already enclosed in the plastic, they're stocking out strawberries like they're basically a dry grocery item. Wow. So it helped at store level tremendously in terms of the ease of displaying and merchandising the strawberry. Constant research going on as far as what to try to get out of that plastic container. A number of strawberry growers, I know we're one of them, and a lot of the other large strawberry growers, we've kind of formed a coalition that we're trying to find a better way of delivering the strawberries. But it's just not as simple as saying, hey, let's change.
Yeah.
I've gone to trade shows, where a lot of the packaging people come up to me and try to show me a different container. And it's great, but like I said, there's so many other factors. It's just not a matter of saying, yeah, we could,
Well, one of the other big issues that consumers are concerned about is food waste. And I'm sure you had a lot more food waste with those other baskets and
right
packages.
Like
Now
I said,
you've
like I said,
solved that problem, or not completely solved
the
it.
clamshell, the plastic clamshell actually, delivers the product to the store in a lot better condition than that old plastic, pint and quart did.
Right. Well, we are glad that Well-Pict is investing in trying to find new packaging, but at the same time, we want the best berries you can give us. So
I have got to
transition
say
I'll say eventually, I'm sure there will be a change in the strawberry packaging, but like I said, when it doesn't happen overnight, it can't be that quick. There's so many other factors that are involved that it's a slow process. But I'm guessing that it eventually will become, there will be a new different type of packaging for strawberries other than the clamshell.
Right. Okay, thank you for that. But let's switch away from the packaging to the berries themselves. And I got to say, I was intrigued by something on your website. One thing I read on your website,
okay,
that I want to know. On your website, it said strawberry seeds are greatly beneficial for skin care. They can help fight acne, tighten pores, and reduce swelling around the eyes, among other things. So how do consumers get strawberry seeds for skin care, and how do they use them? What's the procedure?
Wow. I
Did I
better
stump you?
talk to those people who develop our website.
We can edit this out.
Either that or I got to have them school me about what they're putting on there. I think they're probably primarily talking about the healthful benefits of strawberries,
Okay. So it's not that you take the seeds off and make some sort of emulsion out of them.
No, I can't even imagine trying to pluck the seeds off of a strawberry,
Yeah. I'm sure they meant just eat them.
You could just wash your face with the strawberry, you could just take the strawberry, smash it up, do that,
It's a pretty good exfoliating sponge.
Yeah,
all those seeds, because strawberries is one of the few fruits that have all its seeds on the outside of the plant or the actual product. So
and how many seeds on average on a strawberry? Do you know?
I believe it's like 150. Someone told me once that the average strawberry is like 150 seeds on the outside.
Yeah. I think I read that recently, so I wanted to ask you. It's like I read 200, but
I'm going back a few years back when somebody told me it was 150. So maybe it's a strawberry because strawberry sizes are getting larger now. There's more seeds on the outside.
That's it. And also read that every seed can produce a completely different variety.
It could be, yeah. Like I said, again, I'm not much into the genetic end of the strawberry breeding, but that's how they do develop all the different variety. They just cross, the different seeds with one another and to dry. That's so it's just not a matter of taking a couple seeds and crossbreeding them and getting a new plant. You have to keep working until you actually get a viable, producing plant that produces the variety that you want and the characteristics that you want. And then from that point on time, you get one plant and then you propagate it to maybe a dozen plants, and then you keep propagating until you can put a 10-foot patch in the ground of a 10-foot row of test plots, see how that works out. And then, if it works for a 10-foot strip, then you go to a 250-foot strip. Then you might go to an acre. And so from the time, you start the seedling until the time you actually put it into production is about a 5 to 7 year, production cycle before it actually goes into production. Then you get another, 5 to 7 years of production out of it.
Wow.
But at the same time, they're already, once a plant goes in production, its replacement has already started somewhere along the line.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah. That's quite.
And strawberries have 4 times the number of chromosomes as people have, so you're going to get a lot of different variations with that, with that many chromosomes
I
too.
know, and like I said, it's, like I said, we finally got that variety that we want in Florida, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago. We thought we had a variety that, met everything, until we found out that it didn't start producing until the end of February, beginning of March, which is basically the end of the strawberry season in Florida. So yeah, that unfortunately, because it produced an excellent berry as far as color and size and taste, but it missed the growing period. It missed the growing season. It was just a late producer. So again, that's all those different aspects you got to make sure you cover when you're coming up with a strawberry and a variety.
Right. Well-Pict has berries all year round, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, we gone are the good days when I used to get the winter months off. But we from the time, like I said, January, all the way through, because I said, Oxnard, Baja and Oxnard start late December, and they start, through January. Then all the other regions pick up. Florida picks up. In fact, we go back into Oxnard, which is Southern California, for a fall planting. So when the original crop, original crop of like Oxnard, generally we'll say January through beginning of May. And we'll go back into those same fields in Oxnard in July, end of July, beginning of August, and put a new crop in there. And that crop gets picked just about beginning of October, takes us through October until late November, beginning of December. And by that time, Florida starts up. And by late December and early January, the spring crop out of Oxnard starts up again. So it's a continuous cycle of strawberries.
You say you ship all year long, but is this the peak season? Do you have
Right
more
now,
volume right now than any other time?
Right now, generally the month of May is the peak growing time for strawberries out of California.
Okay.
We
you got all those regions still supplying in the south.
We personally have diverted all our Oxnard berries to processing now. Although I'm sure there still are some growers in the Oxnard area shipping fresh, but at the same time, Santa Maria right now is just coming off of peak of their growing area, and Watsonville is probably about 3 weeks away from their peak. So there are a ton of berries out of California right now. So I think that's why you're seeing prices are coming down to be a little bit more reasonable right now, because of a large amount of berries that are available. So the month of May is generally considered the peak month out of the state of California.
So there should be some good promotions.
I would believe soon. So. Yeah, that you'll see berries that there should be some decent pricing at the retail outlets throughout the country.
Yeah. Despite the inflationary pressure and the supply chain issues, which is putting a lot of pressure on them. Sure.
Transportation is another issue. So that this year is adding a little bit more to the cost of berries or cost of everything.
Right.
Trucks that were a few years ago costing maybe $5,500 or $5,700 to go from California to Chicago or New York, they're now costing $7,500 or $8,000. So they've gone up almost 50% in terms of the cost of transportation. So that cost all has to get passed on to someone.
Right.
Well, I can tell you that I've eaten a lot of the well-picked berries over the past few years. We have a major discount retailer that carried them consistently for the past 2 or 3 years, and they ran them on special. And like 2 years ago, we could get them for 99 a pound when they were on ad. And then the next year it was 149. Now it's up to 199. But
it's still a deal.
They were very consistent in flavor.
Right.
And they also held up very well in the refrigerator. Very seldom would I have to throw out a moldy strawberry. And I shop once a week, so
right.
They would last over a week. And
exactly. Well,
very consistent.
If the cold chain is held right and everything is held right, that they will last, at least a week, and like I said, I mentioned earlier, all our varieties are developed, to have a good flavor profile. And one of the other things too that a lot of people probably don't recognize is our berries, if you cut it open, it will be red throughout the entire berry. A lot of berries, when you cut them open, are white inside. They may be red on the outside, but the inside is, there's a big white area in the middle of it. Should not really happen with our berries. the berry should be a completely red berry throughout, and that's again part of the breeding process and so forth.
Yes, they are always so consistently delicious. So we love the well-picked berries. Okay, well, we're running out of time. I'm disappointed, but we have to let Jim get on with his work, and it's been delightful. Anything else from you, Rick or Teresa?
I guess we should ask Jim one more question. What's your favorite way to eat strawberries?
I follow the company line, and I like to eat them fresh, just straight.
Right.
I mean, not, don't have to put them. Although being a Midwest guy, shortcake comes in a close second.
Yes.
That's hard to beat.
And one of the things that I read on your website, and that's good for consumers to know, is that if you let your strawberries come to kind of room temperature, the flavor will be better.
Exactly.
They're not so
that's good.
cold. Yeah.
Right. They are, the thing is, strawberries, what they say, do not ripen after they're picked. They actually will change color. I mean, they'll turn redder, but they don't, in terms of flavor, they don't ripen anymore after they're picked. But again, like you said, letting them get down to room temperature does enhance the flavor of the berry.
Mm-hmm.
I slice 4 strawberries up almost every night and put it in my salad. I love them in a salad. I actually like the flavor in a salad better than tomatoes.
Right. I enjoy putting also same thing, strawberries in a salad. My
Rick,
favorites are strawberries, craisins, and little mandarin orange pieces.
Oh, that
Wow.
does.
Yeah.
Never tried that.
Rick, I thought for sure you were going to say you sliced up 4 strawberries and put them in your brandy.
No.
You could heat the strawberries up in a little water in the microwave too, probably, and make a nice strawberry tea.
We have to let
I
Jim
won't
in on
believe
this.
this, but I think I've seen well-picked frozen strawberries.
Yes, there are. There was a well-picked label, frozen strawberries. Yes.
But I keep some frozen strawberries in my freezer, and if I run out of the fresh, I will take 4 of those individually frozen strawberries out and microwave them for 30 seconds to thaw them, and then I put them in my salad, and they're delicious.
We have 2. We have to bring you in a little bit on the inside joke here. There's 2 running jokes we have on the podcast. It comes almost every day. Rick likes to microwave his fruits and maybe not so much the fruits, but veggies. So he's always giving us a microwave. So we kid him about using the microwave for everything. And the other is that he usually has some recipe for a drink with brandy.
Oh, well, that's the Minnesota and him coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, those supper clubs, where they have those, what do they call them, brandy Alexanders?
Wisconsin and Minnesota, those are their that's the national drink, I think, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we should do homegrowns.
Oh, we have to tell Jim
Yes.
what the homegrown is.
Yeah, we.
You want to tell him, or do you want me to tell him?
You
So
can.
every episode, Jim, we have a segment called Homegrown. Teresa loves her puns. And so she comes up with a fruit or veggie pun every episode. And then she asks the pun, and we're supposed to guess it. But when we usually don't get them, but usually they're very bad puns. So
Okay.
after she gives the punchline, we have to groan.
Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
Teresa, are you gonna do it, or how?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Should I introduce it?
Sure, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Produce Buzzers podcast fans, it's time for your favorite segment on the Produce Buzzers podcast. Yes, I know you hate it. You're trying to run away from your speaker right now because it's another homegrown where Teresa brings us one of her terrible puns. But we're going to subject you to it anyway. So, Teresa, what have you got for us today?
Okay. I'm going to punish you with one punish. You get it?
Pun. Oh, that's good. Pun-ish.
Yes. One that I got, I actually stole from the Well-Pict website because they have some puns
Oh,
on the
plagiarism.
Well-Pict website. Plagiarism admitted. Okay. So what do you call a group of strawberries playing guitars?
Okay, wait a minute. We have to try to guess first.
Group
What
of-
do you call a group of strawberries playing guitar? Wow.
Yes.
I don't know. Rick, you have any guesses?
Not so far. I'm thinking.
I'm trying to work strumming into there somehow, but that doesn't work.
Yeah, what would it be? Very bad music? No, that's not it. Huh?
No. So
Okay, good.
a group of strawberries playing guitars would be called a jam session.
Oh, that's terrible. But we can't blame that on Teresa today. We're blaming it on Well-Pict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to talk to those people.
Get your website under control, Jim.
There's several more on there if you want to go on and see some fun.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for joining us. It's really a pleasure to get to know you and to see you and Teresa catch up a bit.
And
What is your
Edwin-
website?
I'm sorry,
What is the website address?
is www.wellpict.com.
Okay.
And they
And
have
that's
some
spelled
interesting
PICT. Well-Pict. PICT, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
It's small, all small letters, and it picked is PICT.
Mhm.
Right. So
and they
visit
have
the
some
website.
interesting interesting recipes there too. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
and even YouTube channel with recipes. So
Right.
that
So there's, and there used to be, I haven't been on it lately, I hate to say it, but there used to be a kids corner on there that had information as far as, strawberries, introducing your children to strawberries and things, to get, kids to get interested in eating fresh fruit, so forth. So.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah,
Right.
it's a great site. Some good, helpful information on how to handle them, store them, and so they last longer.
Right.
That's very helpful information.
Right.
There. And as Teresa said, the recipes. Well-Pict.com. Pict is P-I-C-T. So that's WELLPICT.com. Check it out and look for it in your grocery stores. Thank you so much, Jim, for joining us. It's a real
I appreciate
pleasure.
it. I appreciate the time to stop and first of all, see you on our Zoom meeting here, but as well as talking to you, it's been enjoyable.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Edwin. Thanks, Teresa. Rick,
Bye-bye.
see you
Bye.
later.
Good to
Bye-bye.
see
Have a
ya.
great day.
Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to the Produce Buzzers podcast, brought to you by Produce Buzz, the gathering place for lovers of fresh fruits and veggies. We hope you were entertained a bit and educated a lot about fresh produce. Be sure to join us next time, and please tell your friends to do so as well. Like, share, and comment on our Produce Buzz Facebook page, and check out our website at www.producebuzz.com. There you will find articles about fresh fruits and veggies, how to select, store, and prepare them, as well as lots of interesting facts about all the wonderful bounty the earth provides for us. Until next time, be fruitful and don't forget to veg out.